Lesson 9. Catherine, this one looks pretty much the same in its uppercase and lowercase forms.
Yes.
Catherine, how do you pronounce the name of this letter?
Most of the time I say phi, because that goes with the ancient Greek pronunciation system. But there's another pronunciation of this word that's a lot more common, isn't there, Bill?
Yes, and that's phi. But, I've heard scholars use both pronunciations. They'll call it phi or phi. It really doesn't matter. Just be aware that there might be more than one way to pronounce the name of it.
Right. And sometimes, depending on the day, I end up saying phi as well.
If you say both, you'll sound like a giant from a fairy tale. Fee, fi, fo, fum.
I smell the blood of an Englishman.
Now, in this book, we're going to pronounce this letter like an F. Some scholars of ancient Greek will explain to you that in classical Greek times, it was pronounced like P, like an aspirated kind of P sound. But in this book, we're going to pronounce it in the more common way that is used in Greek classrooms, and that's like an F. So we'll pronounce it like the F in food.
So the aspirated phi, i.e. pa, is as if you looked at the sound ph, and instead of pronouncing it f, like we do in English, you pronounced it the way it looks, p and then h, pa.
Right, and we see this reflected in English words that come from Greek, because ancient Greek words that included this letter were brought over by the Romans into the Roman alphabet with the letter phi or phi being represented by a P and an H. So, for example, in the word philosophy in ancient Greek, that first letter is the letter phi or phi. But when the Romans wrote out that word in their own alphabet, they used a P and an H to represent the Greek letter phi. And so in English, when we have words with a PH, that's often because that sound originally was the letter phi in its ancient Greek root.
Exactly. And then it carried over to us and confused children learning to read for centuries.
So much of the time when people teach ancient Greek, this letter is pronounced like an F, and that's how we're going to do it in this book. But there are some Greek teachers out there who want it to be pronounced like a P, and you can learn that later if you need to. But for this book, we're just going to pronounce it like an F. And so now that we have a letter that makes an F sound, we can spell out new words in our reading practice exercises. So number 1, we have fell. Number 2, left. Then we have fed. Number 4, deaf, as in not being able to hear. Number 5 is felt. And then we have some repeated ones from previous exercises.